Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Watchdives WD007ST. This watch is available from watchdives.com for €172. So firstly, let's look at the travel case that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the specifications of the piece. So the watch comes in this plastic travel case, which is carbon fibre effect, and embossed on the lid we have the old Watchdives emblem. Now I would like to see Watchdives update this. It's disappointing that they haven't updated it to the Watchdives Trident Shield emblem because there's a lack of continuity in the branding, and also if you look at the rubber zip pull you can see it still has the old shield emblem. So I'll show you the interior. In the base we have a foam cutout panel which does a good job of protecting the watch in shipping from any damage, and in the underside of the lid we have an elasticated web pocket, and that houses the items which I'll show you. So with the watch, Watchdives gift you an FKM rubber strap. They randomly select the colour, it's smooth on the top side and underside, plenty of holes in the flanks to allow for fine tuning the length, and you cut it to size. This will fit the micro adjustment clasp on the WD007ST. Stainless steel quick release spring bar, so that negates the need for a spring bar tool, but they could further enhance it because it's a straight end FKM rubber strap rather than curved end. I prefer to see them make FKM rubber straps specifically to fit the WD007ST head of the piece, because this will leave a gap between the rubber strap and the case, which is unsightly, but it is good quality. And I'm pleased to see they used FKM rubber, which is more expensive and better quality than silicone rubber, although I think it could be further enhanced with curved ends. I'll show you the other side to it. As you can see, plenty of holes in it to get the length correct, and you can cut it to length, and I recommend cutting it to length using a scalpel rather than a scissors to get a nice clean sharp cut. So good quality. It is stiffer than silicone rubber, but it will break in with daily wear to become comfortable. I do like FKM rubber straps because the quality is better than silicone rubber. So you also get this owner's instruction manual, and I'm pleased to see they've branded it with the updated Trident Shield emblem. Clear, concise diagrams. The instructions are in English, and it details the operation of the movement use, which is the Seiko NH35A automatic. You also get this spring bar tool, which is hexagon profile, but again the branding is mixed because we've got the old Watchdives Shield emblem, and I think they need to update this. The ends are stainless steel and they unscrew from the body of it, and they are hardened steel, stainless steel push pin at one end, and at the other end we have a two-prong fork. So it's good quality spring bar tool. You can remove the stainless steel ends to it, so if they become damaged or blunt you can simply replace the ends rather than the whole spring bar. And it's also got a millimetre scale which you can use for measuring the width of straps, and that's also very useful. So it's good quality, but they just need to update the branding to the Trident Shield emblem. You also get this 1.2mm jeweler's screwdriver, stainless steel knurled shank to it, good quality, hardened steel tool tip to it, and you can replace the tip if it becomes blunt, and the end of it is also knurled and rotates. So it's good quality. Good to get this included for resizing the screw pin links in the bracelet. And lastly, one also gets this sterile microfiber polishing cloth. I prefer to see Watchdives update this and brand it with the Trident Shield, because Pagani Design are branding their microfiber polishing cloths at a lower price point in the low tier. At €100, Pagani Design brand their microfiber polishing cloths. This is €172 with a sterile microfiber cloth. So, with regards to the specifications of the piece, the WD007ST is clearly an homage to the Amiga Seamaster, but the Seamaster is 41mm, this has smaller proportions. We have a 39mm diameter case, we have a 46.3mm lug-to-lug measurement, a thickness of 13.7mm, and a lug width of 18mm. The bracelet tapers from 18mm at the clasp down to 18mm at the lugs, down to 16mm at the two-button push clasp. And as you can see, the micro adjustment clasp is finished to a high standard with the Watchdives Trident Shield emblem engraved. Good quality, heavy gauge to the 316L grade stainless steel, beautiful luster to the brush satin finishing, to the top side and also the flanks, and the quality of the finishing is excellent. No sharp edges to it, no burrs, doesn't have sharp corners, and I like the heavy gauge to the 316L grade stainless steel. Nice mirror polished bevel machined to the flanks, and that marks the transition between the outer body and also the flanks, and the quality of the brushed satin finishing to the pushers is also good. As you can see, the two triggers have a nice firm spring-loaded action. Solid milled 316L grade stainless steel interior, beautiful luster to it, no sharp edges, doesn't have sharp corners, so it's very well finished, and I like to see a micro adjustment clasp used at this price point. We have a double dome sapphire crystal with clear AR coating on the underside. Nice low profile to the double dome sapphire crystal, and I'm pleased that they didn't use a boxed top hat profile to it, because that would have made the piece too thick. The profile of the dome projects nicely above the matte finish to the ceramic bezel insert, which is fully lumed with BGW9. So quality of the sapphire crystal is excellent, good legibility to it, good clarity, and it's not too thick. So we don't get characteristic distortion or magnification effect as per a single dome sapphire crystal, because this is double domed. So one of the main negatives to this piece is the colour tone mismatch of the BGW9. If you look at the skeletonized handset, which are like Amiga Seamaster hands, they've done a good job of the proportions and the design of them and the finishing, but however, the BGW9 on the handset is white in daylight conditions, but if you look at the applied indices, you can see the BGW9 is a cream tone, and it's there's a noticeable difference in the colour tone, white on the hands, cream on the indices. And at €172, this is wholly unacceptable. So this is the main negative of the watch, and it's a real disappointment that they didn't match the white tone of the BGW9 on the hands and the dial. They are capable of getting it correct. For example, on my Watchdives WD007ST Pro, which is the Pelagos Homage, the white BGW9 on the handset matches the white BGW9 on the dial, so they can get the colour tone match correct, and that's only €100. It's a lower price point piece, but this is €172. It's more expensive, but they've got it incorrect. The dial is well executed, nice wave dial pattern to it, which does look similar to the ceramic wave dial used on the Seamaster, and it's very aesthetically pleasing. The quality of the printing of the emblem, the Trident shield, and also the automatic and the water resistance 200 meters in red is very good. It's high definition, it's not blurry, it's crisp, and also the chapter ring, the white minute 6, are clearly printed in white paint. So the dial execution is good. The quality of the finishing to the applied indices and the printing on the dial are all excellent. It's just a shame they made the mistake on the colour tone match of the white lume on the hands and the cream tone of lume on the indices. I like the matte finish to the ceramic bezel insert, and I actually prefer it to the Seamaster, which has a glossy ceramic bezel insert. I think this looks more aesthetically pleasing, more like an aluminium bezel insert. Quality of the inlay of the BGW9 on the dots and also the Arabic numerals and the lume pip and triangle are very good. High definition inlay. So they've done a good job of engraving the ceramic and inlaying it with BGW9. It looks sharp. The Arabic numerals are not blurry. They're very well done. Nice scalloped bezel as per the Seamaster, and its brushed satin finish, which is very aesthetically pleasing. They've made the correct decision by making the scallops on the bezel brushed satin finish rather than mirror polished, and the quality of the finishing to the bezel is very good. Now, with regards to the finishing to the head of the piece, the mirror polished bevels are done to a good standard, which mark the transition between the top of the lyre lugs, the twisted lugs, and also the flanks. The longitudinal brushed satin finishing is done to a good standard, but however, there's a sharp edge on the undercut to the flanks of the case, both on the left-hand flank and the right-hand flank. So it's disappointing they haven't deburred the undercut of the case, because it does feel sharp. You can feel it with your finger or thumb. Now, when on wrist, due to the thickness of the case back, the sharp undercut doesn't dig into the wrist, so it will not affect you when you're wearing the piece on wrist, but however, when handling the piece, you can really feel the sharp edge. They need to finish the case better. The tips of the lugs don't have sharp points, so they've deburred the tips of the head of the piece well. And the quality of the brushed satin finishing and the mirror polishing is good, but just the undercuts to the flank is sharp on both sides, and that is a disappointment, because again, we're not looking at a low tier piece costing below €100. This is €172. If Watchdives want to move up from competing with Pagani Design at €100 up to competing with San Martin at €172, they need to improve the quality of their finishing and the quality control to San Martin levels. This sharp undercut to the case is not San Martin level finishing, and again, this is something that even Pagani Design get correct on €100 pieces, such as the PD1661, for example. So there's no excuse for it at €172. It's disappointing. Now, with regards to the bracelet is well finished. Brush satin finishing is good, and the mirror polishing to the centre links is also good. No sharp edges to the flanks. They've deburred it very well. It doesn't pull arm hair, articulates smoothly, no stiff links, and it doesn't rattle. So the quality of the links in the screw pin link bracelet is done very well. Nice taper, 18 to 16, which works very well on a 39mm head of the piece. But however, there's another negative to it, which I'm going to show you. The end links do articulate smoothly, but there's too much play. We've got lateral side-to-side play, longitudinal play, up and down play in every single direction, and it's significant. If you look there, lateral side-to-side play makes it make a clicking sound, and if I twist it side to side, we've got lateral side-to-side play, and if you look, this is significant play. So what they've done is they've drilled the holes too large in the end links of the bracelet where they fit around the spring bar, and the problem is the centre links, which are mirror polished in the bracelet, they rattle. As you can see, they make a clicking sound. So lateral side-to-side play, longitudinal play, up and down play in every single direction. I'm just going to check the other one for continuity. So again, it articulates smoothly because the poor tolerance. But if you look there, you can see lateral side-to-side play, longitudinal play, and up and down play. And we're not talking about slight play. Just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus on it. It's significant play. Now, one could be magnanimous about this if this were below €100, but we're not looking at a €100 price point piece. This is €172. This is San Martin price point level. But this clearly isn't San Martin level quality control or finishing. As you can see, the tolerances need to be tightened up. So significant play in every direction, and very disappointing because the bracelet links articulate very well. So the quality of the tolerances in the screw pins in the bracelet are good. Doesn't pull arm hair, no sharp edges to the top side, underside or flanks, and the brush satin finishing is good on the bracelet. But the finishing of the end links is poor on both sides, both the 6 and the 12 o'clock side. Right, so I'll show you the clasp. Now again, we've got another negative. The 3 hinge pins have play. If you look at the end of the bracelet, you can see around the left hand hinge pin of 3, it's got play, longitudinal, lateral and up and down play. So play in every direction around the pin, and therefore it rattles. In the centre pin, we've also got play, so it rattles. The solid mill clasp, as you can see, look, it wobbles. Just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus on it. So lateral side-to-side play, longitudinal play, and up and down play. If I put my glove behind it, I'll get it to focus better, and then I'll try to... There we go. You can see there's lateral side-to-side play in it. So left-hand pin, centre pin, there's play. Let's check the right-hand one. Again, we've got play. If you look at the body of the clasp, you can see there's lateral side-to-side play, longitudinal play, and up and down play in the pin. So all 3 pins, and when they're raising the price point of the piece to €172 from €100, they're moving up from competing with Pagani Design up to San Martin level. At €172, this is not San Martin quality control level. This is Pagani Design level. One could be magnanimous about play in the 3 hinge pins if this were €100. It's not. It's €172. It's a wholly unacceptable quality control. Now, there's no sharp edges, no burrs to the solid mill clasp, doesn't have sharp corners to it, so the finishing is good, but the tolerances of the 3 hinge pins is poor. Now, on a positive note, it does have a micro adjustment clasp, which is good quality. So 5 clicks, which are spring loaded. So if I press it on the underside with my index finger, that will deploy it. Nice firm resistance to the spring loaded trigger. It's got 10mm of adjustment, which is 5 clicks. So I'll push it in and test the clicks of the ratcheting mechanism. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 5. I'll just check it again. Nice loud audible clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. So 5. So it moves in and deploys very well. Doesn't have a lot of play in it, and it does work very well. You have to press in the trigger very hard with your index finger or thumb, and that will deploy it. Good to see 10mm of adjustment, and each click does ratcheting very well. So the micro adjustment clasp is well finished. No sharp edges to it, no burrs, doesn't have sharp corners, and the ratcheting mechanism works very well. It doesn't accidentally deploy on wrist because you have to press in the trigger with a nice firm press. So it works very well, and I think they deserve credit because it is a good quality clasp. It's just a shame about the tolerances of the 3 hinge pins, which need to be improved. So I'll show you the case back. Sterile case back, solid 316L grade stainless steel. It provides an effective hermetic seal to 200 meters. But the negative of using the NH35A is it's a bubble back profile to it, so it's a very thick case back. This would be acceptable if it were 300 meters because it's necessary to have a thicker case back with 300 meters, but this is only 200 meters, and therefore it's unnecessary to have such a thick bubble back case back on a 200 meter water resistant piece. The quality of the finishing is good. The center section is concentric CNC lathe tool machine, so it's got a nice concentric pattern to it which refracts the light. Nice scallops to it, which I like in Amiga Seamaster screw down case back. I like the mirror polishing to the scallops on the stainless steel case back, but it's far too thick. The problem with using such a thick case back is that increases the thickness of the head of the piece to 13.7. They could easily reduce this by 0.7mm to make it 13mm, which is the sweet spot for a 200 meter water resistant piece. So the case back's too thick. Bubble back profile to it is too high profile. The center section of it is unnecessary. They could have machined off another 0.7mm because it's far too thick. The end links are a good tight fit to the head of the piece, but they could be further enhanced if they use quick release spring bars rather than conventional spring bars, but the quality of the finishing to the end links is good. The end links are a tight fit in the head of the piece, but it's just a shame the end links in the bracelet are a sloppy fit inside the end links in between the lugs. Right, so I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now, I haven't sized the bracelet, and on a positive note, there's plenty of links. I can easily slide 2 fingers underneath the bracelet and clasp, and that means this will easily fit up to a 9-inch wrist. So if you're a collector with a larger wrist of over 8 inches, this will fit you no problem whatsoever. And bear in mind, this is on the minimum size of the 5 clicks in the micro adjustment clasp. I've moved it into the minimum. So on its tightest fitting, I can still get 2 fingers underneath. So it will easily fit over 8 inches, between 8 and 9 inches. The taper is correct. 18 to 16 works very well. Some collectors think that a 20mm bracelet would look better on this, but I actually think that Watchdives have made the correct decision by using an 18 to 16 taper rather than 20 to 16, because this is an homage to the Seamaster, and the Seamaster uses a straight parallel bracelet. It doesn't have a bracelet with a taper, and therefore if this had a bracelet tapering from 20 to 16, it would look excessive. It would look like an oyster bracelet used on a Submariner date, and this is not a Submariner date homage. It is a Seamaster homage, which does in fact have a straight bracelet. The 18 to 16 gives a nice slight taper to it, and it does look correctly proportioned. 18 does not look undersized. If they made it 20, the bracelet would look too wide, and therefore the lyre lugs, the twisted lugs, would look too thin. They've got the taper and the mirror polished bevels good, because the twisted lyre lugs do look very similar to a Seamaster, and I think the 18mm lug width does look very good. I actually prefer the design of the end links, because on the Seamaster it has more male end links. These actually look more aesthetically pleasing, more like female pivoted end links, and the articulation is very good. So taper is correct, 18 to 16, and I like that it's not just 18 to 18, a straight parallel bracelet as per the Seamaster. So, main negative to it is that it's a compact piece, but the problem is the thickness. The case back is far too thick, and it's too thick by 0.7mm, as I've detailed. 13.7 is too tall with the double dome sapphire crystal. There's a large gap underneath the tips of the lugs, as you can see, despite using female pivoted end links. And this could be reduced by 1mm if they reduce the thickness of the bubble back case back. So they could make the case back flatter because, as you can see, it's got a large gap. And on a smaller wrist, you're going to notice that, particularly if you have a 6 to 7 inch wrist, there's going to be an overhang of the lugs, the tips, you can see the gap. On a larger wrist, on a 7 to 8 inch wrist, it's not as noticeable. It does have a relatively short lug to lug measurement of 46.3, so if you're a collector with a 6 to 7 inch wrist, you'll like the compact lug to lug of 46.3. It is aesthetically pleasing. I do like the double dome sapphire crystal and the matte finish to the ceramic bezel insert. Quality of the finishing to the mirror polishing to the bevels on the lyre lugs is very aesthetically pleasing. Beautiful luster to the brush satin finishing, which contrasts with the mirror polishing to the bracelet links. So no sharp edges to the flanks of the bracelet, and you don't feel the sharp edge to the undercut to the flank of the case, because the bubble back case back raises the head of the piece up off the wrist. We've got a gap underneath the undercut. So although it does have a sharp edge, you don't actually feel it. It doesn't dig into the wrist. So that's the positive of it being a thick piece. But 13.8 is going to be slightly more difficult to slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear business shirts. 13mm is the sweet spot. The problem with it being a tall piece at 13.7 is it feels top heavy. It doesn't feel balanced, even though the taper is correct, 18 to 16. There's plenty of meat on the bracelet links, and also the micro adjustment clasp has plenty of heft. But it just feels too tall on wrist. It feels top heavy rather than balanced for a 39mm. It does have wrist presence, and I like the 39mm head of the piece case size. So it's a good looking piece, but it's just a shame you've got that large gap underneath it, as you can see, due to the bubble back case back. So they've made a mistake on making the case back too thick. It's a comfortable piece to wear because it does have a sterile case back, so it doesn't have any sharp engraving it. That's a positive, but just too thick. Right, so let's test the helium escape valve. It's sterile, mirror polished domed cap, solid 316L grade stainless steel and coin edge finished. Similar proportions to the Seamaster helium escape valve. Silky smooth, I'm just unscrewing it. So perfect interface between the internal thread of the helium escape valve and the external thread of the stainless steel helium escape valve tube. And this is actually a functioning helium escape valve. It's not just there for aesthetic reasons. It does actually contain a valve which has a rubber O-ring gasket inside it, providing 200 meters of hermetic seal, so it does actually function. Let's test screwing it back down. Immediate thread pickup, and it does feel silky smooth. No friction whatsoever, so good quality control, good tolerances between the internal thread of the helium escape valve and the external thread of the helium escape valve tube. Let's test the screw down crown execution. Solid 316L grade stainless steel, coin edge finished, nice mirror polished chamfer to it, and that contrasts with the matte bead blasted effect to the background of the engraved Watchdives Trident Shield emblem. So 200 meters is good. Let's test unscrewing it. Now it feels smooth, but it's not silky smooth. There is friction to it. There's two reasons for the friction. There's two rubber O-ring gaskets, one inside the screw down crown and a second one inside the stainless steel crown tube. And one can feel the friction of the rubber O-ring gaskets rubbing against the winding stem and also the crown itself, because the crown, you can feel the friction of the internal thread rubbing against the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube, the two threads meshing against each other, the friction of the 316L grade stainless steel rubbing against each other. So it's smooth, but it's not silky smooth. It does unscrew with a minimal number of turns, and I think there's room for improvement with regards to the quality control and the tolerances of the machining of the threads to get them lower friction, more silky smooth. But does unscrew okay. So NH35A powered piece, with it unscrewed, we can manually wind it to its maximum 41-hour power reserve. One can feel the tension in the mainspring gradually building up to its maximum, so it does feel nice and smooth, nice medium resistance to the mainspring. One can feel the tension building up gradually. Putting it out to the first click position is the quick set date complication. If you look at the date complication at 6, you can see the quick set clicks over with a nice positive click. It's one characteristic I like about the NH35A. It's got a nice heavy clicking quick set date, good solid indexing. The proportions of the white Arabic numerals on the black date wheel are good. Legibility is good. The framing of the date window is good. the alignment is correct on the Arabic numerals. They're not too far to the left or the right, they're central. So it feels very good to set the date. Pulling it out to the second click position hacks the movement. So as you can see, looking at the contrasting red tip to the second hand, you can see it's now stopped dead. So it's possible to set the time precisely to the second with a caliber NH35A. Nice firm resistance to the gearing, feels like a good solid movement, it's robust. Clockwise and anti-clockwise, we've got minimal back play, which is good. The gearing feels tight. And I like the smoothness of it. The NH35A is one of my favourite movements. Pushing it back in, it's got a nice positive click and that restarts the movement. You can see the contrasting red tip of the second hand begins to sweep around the dial once again. So let's test screwing it back down. Immediate thread pickup. So there's a perfect interface between the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. The meshing of the threads is excellent, but it's just not silky smooth. You can feel the friction of the threading and the friction of the rubber O-ring gaskets. So they need to improve on the quality control and the tolerances of the screw down crown to make it silky smooth. Right, so let's test the bezel execution. 120 click unidirectional bezel as one would expect. Scalloped bezel as per the Seamaster. Nice loud audible clicks, medium firm resistance, very similar to a Seiko 5KX. It feels firmer than a Pagani designed PD1661, which you will be familiar with. I like the loud audible clicks and I like the medium resistance. It doesn't feel too tight or too loose, they've got it just right. No lateral side-to-side play, which is good. But however, we've got some back play. Half a click. Now I'm just going to check it in 4 positions because when I level criticism at a brand, I like to be consistent and fair rather than being biased and unfair. So I'm checking the bezel in 4 positions for consistency. So it feels even all the way through the 360 degrees of rotation, so the resistance is correct. No lateral side-to-side play, but however, the back play exists. Half a click of back play in every position. And this is disappointing because, again, this is not a €100 low tier price point piece. We're not looking at a Pagani designed PD1661 at €100. This is €172. That is San Martin SN017G level price point. Back play in bezel execution is unacceptable at €172. And it's half a click of back play all the way around the bezel. Let's check the alignment. One more click. Perfect. So the Lume pip and triangle perfectly aligned with the 12 o'clock index on the dial and the 60-minute tick on the chapter ring. So no lateral side-to-side play, even resistance through the 360 degrees and perfect alignment. But the negative is the half a click. Now just bear with me and I'll try and show you. I'll get the camera to focus. You can see there the bezel is wobbling clockwise by half a click. And it's noticeable because I checked it in 4 positions and you can feel it's a wobbly bezel. It just doesn't feel tight. There's back play in it. Clockwise back play. I'm just going to check it again in 4 positions. So we've got half a click of back play. Half a click of back play. I'll check it 2 more times. Half a click of back play and 1 more time. I'll bring it up to 12. Right, so that's now perfectly aligned. Just look closely at the Lume pip and triangle. We've got half a click of back play clockwise. Wholly unacceptable. €172 piece. It's not San Martin SN017G level. It's not €172 of quality control or build quality. So I'm disappointed with the back play in the bezel execution. Right, so let's do a Lume test and we'll see how the Lume performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to the absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged and as you can see, it has not disappointed. We're clearly looking at 5 to 6 layers of BGW9 Super Lume Nova on the ceramic bezel inserts, the applied indices and the skeletonized handset. So, despite the colour tone mismatch in daylight conditions, white Lume on that handset and cream Lume on the applied indices in daylight, in the dark, the colour tone match is correct. We've got the same blue tone on the ceramic bezel inserts, the dial and the handset. So they've got the colour tone match in the dark correct. And as you can see, clearly 5 to 6 layers on the bezel, the dial and the handset. So it's glowing brightly, the exciter is performing very well. And they've done a good job of fully luming the skeletonized hands as per the Seamaster. Now, I'm pleased to see they haven't used two different colour tones on the handset as per the Seamaster. On a Seamaster, they use a blue tone and also a green tone, rather like BGW9 and C3. This uses the same BGW9 blue tone throughout, which I think is the correct decision. I prefer that rather than using green and blue. So, good symmetry to the dial with a date complication at 6. They've done a very good job of inlaying the ceramic bezel inserts. If you look at the 60-minute ticks, the Arabic numerals and also the Lume pip and triangle, it's high definition. The BGW9 isn't blurry, it looks crisp and sharp rather than being blurry, so they've engraved the ceramic very well, and they've also inlaid 5 to 6 layers very well. So they deserve credit because it's a well executed matte ceramic bezel insert, fully inlaid, fully lumed with BGW9. I like the colour tone of the BGW9 and the performance of it is good. It's not fading whatsoever. So this is good quality BGW9, 5 to 6 layers. This is €172 price point quality. It's rather like the quality used on San Martin pieces at this price point. So no cost cutting production costs whatsoever with regards to the quality of the BGW9. They've made the correct choice by using BGW9 rather than C3, and I like it. I think it's very good. Right, so let's discuss the movement used. You'll all be familiar with this Seiko NH35A automatic, which is made in Malaysia. It's been in use since 2011, so it's reliable, well-proven workhorse caliber. It has 24 joules and it runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 3 Hz. It has hand winding and hacking, which is used for complications, and also a quick set date complication, which works very well. 41-hour power reserve is perfectly acceptable. The stated accuracy of the NH35A is -20 to +40 seconds per day, so a rather wide accuracy range. However, I'm pleased to report that Watchdives are well regulating the NH35As they're using. This one has been regulated to +6 when it's fully wound to its maximum 41-hour power reserve. So +6 from the NH35A is very good. Excellent accuracy. There's no negatives to it whatsoever. Hand winding and hacking works very well. Quick set date complication works very well. It's a reliable, well-proven workhorse caliber. From 2011 to 2024, it's very well proven. It's a robust movement and the correct choice. But however, I think it's the incorrect choice for this piece. I think Watchdives should have used the Miyota caliber 9015 because that's a thinner movement. Now, had they made this with the 9015, they could have reduced the thickness from 13.7, which is too thick, down to 12.7. They could have reduced it by 1mm. They could even reduce it further by reducing the case back, which is a bubble back case back. It's too thick. So they could have used a flatter case back and got it down to 12.5mm or even less if they used the 9015. At 13.7, this is far too thick. The other problem with the NH35A is if you look at the rehorts, you can see it has a very deep rehort. The stainless steel rehort means that the dial sits very deep away from the underside of the double dome sapphire crystal. Now, if this had a flat sapphire crystal, the dial wouldn't look so deep, it wouldn't look so far away, but because it's a double dome sapphire crystal, it means the dial is sunk very deep in the head of the piece, and you can see just how deep the stainless steel rehort is. And it's a shame because it really spoils the piece, the large rehort. With a Miyota 9015, they can use a shallower rehort because the cannon pinion handset stack height is lower. So I think they've used the wrong movement. The 9015 would have made this much thinner and got it down to 12.5mm, and this is 13.7, so it's a tall top heavy piece as a result with a deep rehort. So I think at €172, I'm going to declare it okay quality, but I'm going to say it's poor value. I can't say it's excellent quality and excellent value because there are too many shortcomings with regards to the quality control and the build quality. The colour tone mismatch of the white lume on the handsets and the cream coloured lume on the indices is wholly unacceptable. Half a click of backplay clockwise on the bezel execution is wholly unacceptable. The sharp undercut to the case, which hasn't been deburred correctly, is again unacceptable, and the play in the end link in the bracelet, which is significant, is unacceptable, and we've got play in the 3 hinge pins in the micro adjustment clasp. Again, unacceptable. One can be magnanimous about these kind of shortcomings with quality control at €100 and below. But this is €172. We are looking at San Martin price point level. This is the same price as a San Martin SN017G, for example. That does not have the same problems. It doesn't have back play, it doesn't have a colour tone mismatch, doesn't have sharp edges on the undercut to the flanks, and you don't get play in the end link in the bracelet, and you don't get play in the 3 hinge pins. They get the quality control better at the same price point. So Watchdives are clearly trying to compete with San Martin at the same price point. This is not a Pagani designed price point level piece at €100. So, disappointing piece. I would like to see a V2 version of the WD007ST and correct the shortcomings, and also correct the branding of the things that come with the watch and also the case, because they're still using the old Shield logo. They should be updating it to the Trident Shield. So, disappointing piece. I'm going to recommend it to you for consideration, but bear in mind the QC issues of this piece. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Watchdives WD007ST. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you for watching.